Hello, everybody. This is UCM Esports, and today we are here with the League of Legends coach, Brad Kenny. How are you doing today?
I'm doing pretty good today.
We are aiming to get a win today, and we're going to ask him a couple questions here just to kind of get to know him a bit. The first question is, how is your transformation from player to coach currently going?
There was obviously that huge transition period. You take someone who was like equivalent level to you and now has that elevated position. But literally over the past few weeks, we've kind of figured out, the pecking order, if you will, and the players and I have just settled right in perfectly with this.
Great to hear.
Yeah, it's great to hear. But I do got to ask, how did that look week 1 compared to now week 6?
If you've ever tried to herd cats, it's just
say have, but go ahead.
it's just not very efficient. And that was the kind of thing we took a bunch of players who weren't very good. Had never experienced the competitive aspect of it, so they weren't good in that aspect of the game. But now you look at the stuff that the players can do. We see movement around the map of individual lanes, and they're playing as a cohesive unit. Now it's like I've got completely different players comparatively to week 1.
I have definitely noticed it during the games. The players are communicating a bit better, and they are doing very, very well and working as a cohesive unit. Now, I also want to ask you about the meta currently. The meta is very, very willy wonky with picks like Sona and Soraka being top. So what do you feel is the best way, I guess I should say, to play League of Legends at the moment?
Obviously, the best way is to win, right? I mean, you never want to play the game and lose. But the meta's starting to shift. And it's kind of unique when we're playing now because it's starting to become a top lane meta. With tanks, and everyone knows that with tanks, you have the different kind of mid laners and ADCs coming in, and so really, I think the best way to play it right now is to start getting ready to transition. Play those bruisers like the Renekton's that can transition into tanks, so that when the meta shifts, you're just not left out hanging to dry without any kind of champions to play.
Does make a lot of sense.
No, that's great. I mean, yeah, we saw the junglers have their moment to shine. We had the mid laners.
Yep.
Had their time to shine. We had the ADCs.
Yep.
Their time. It's time for the top laners.
It's time for the top laners.
And I can't wait to see where that's going to lead, especially with the Drakes. We do have them changing the maps. I think there'll be a big contribution, either tanking or getting some of the people away from the big fights.
Yeah, I think Herald will become a huge focus point on the maps. You're starting to see some teams starting to actually focus around the Heralds more because they do typically result in 1 to 2 towers taken per Herald. And so with these tanks coming up, that's going to be able to solo them with their % health damage, I think is really going to be a unique aspect of the game.
Definitely will. Now, on to the next question. Unfortunately, you guys did not get to play last week versus Indiana Tech, but the week before you were able to take a game in the series versus Waldorf. Now, what can you build upon from that series to come in 2-0? This series.
Right. So the game that we actually won was actually unique in the fact that we did a very, very good job in controlling and winning the laning phase. And with it being such a huge integral part of the game, being the first 10, 15 minutes of the game sometimes, the mistakes and the stuff that happens after that time can completely change based on how well we play the first 10 minutes. So I've been really focusing on the players, making sure that their laning phase is super, super crisp and super well.
So you guys are you guys drafting more towards early game domination, or are you coming in more of wanting to pick scaling picks?
So it's definitely going to be a mix of both. We definitely want to see those champions that can scale well in the late games, like the Caitlyn's, the Orns. But we also need those champions that have priorities in the lane, like the Brands, the Namis, those kinds of champions. So I think it's a healthy mix of both.
Okay.
And I was just going to say, going in with these top laners and the changes coming in, do you see any top laner that I know the Ornn, they're thinking about nerfing him. They think about nerfing him. Do you agree with those, or do you think that's not really necessary for them?
I think Riot's trying to do the best that they can based on the feedback that they get from the players, and I really think that while the nerfs that they're coming in, they're missing key champions that maybe make those 2 champions stronger than maybe what they should be. You look at, I've always mentioned champions like Vladimir and Trendamir that maybe are a little more powerful than what they should be, and maybe they deserve nerfs, and that's why we see stuff like the Orns and those sets kind of become stronger and be as strong as they are currently.
That is great to hear. Now, I want to know about this Annie pick that you guys are so interested in picking. Personally, I'm not a fan of Annie. I don't think she's good in the current meta. What is steering you guys towards picking that Annie there?
Well, I have to say that I've got a 3-year-old little girl whose name is Annie. But beyond that, beyond that personal bias, Annie as herself is just a very easy champion to pilot. She rewards you for last hitting correctly. She allows you to focus more on your laning phase and your positioning in the lane, as opposed to how to do all those really cool double backflip flash Qs and stuff like that. I mean, it's just point, click, stun.
But that Lee Sin that you had in the series versus Waldorf, his insects.
Yeah, absolutely.
Into his ultimate.
Yeah,
Dom's
been putting in a lot of work on that Lee Sin.
He was
able to get that Annie 3 kills each match, allowing her not to die from that mid lane.
Yeah, and it's one of those things where we can look at the interactions that those two champions had, and if we start thinking that maybe if he wasn't Annie mid, maybe if he was something more like a LeBlanc or something like that, it might have been more flashy on those kills, but maybe some of those kills we wouldn't have secured as easily.
The Lee Sin kick into the Tibbers was a very, very potent combo there.
You're just kind of like easing them in.
Yeah, absolutely.
Letting them learn, and then we'll see more intricate.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, as they become better at the laning phase and they start able to actually lane as effectively as they have in the past few weeks, you'll start to see more champions like Yasuo and LeBlanc and all those flashier champions coming to our team compositions.
They're building their pool
absolutely,
right now. And they might not be as comfortable, and so that's where this needs to come.
Yeah, and you might actually see some kind of flashier picks come out today. So be looking forward to those.
Can't wait to see what that is.
Interested in that. I do also want to ask about the priority picks in today's meta, that being Ornn, Aphelios, Set, Senna. To some capacity, she's been nerfed a bit. But are you guys going to be going for these priority picks, or do you guys know they're going to be banned, so you've been practicing other
anytime something's really, really strong in the meta, you always want to make sure that you're focusing on those. So we have been playing the Aphelios, the Sennas, the Ornns. But we also realize that if like every team will, that the other teams probably have scouted and seen us that we've been doing that. So we do have some champions in our back pocket waiting to go in case those do get picked out from us.
Good to hear. Well, before this match starts up today, I gotta ask, what will you say to your players playing today? What's the big word of advice to give them?
I mean, just go out there and have fun, guys. I mean, it really is a game. At the end of the day, it's a competition. I want you guys to win. But if you win or you lose, it's not going to change my outlook on them. They're still great players. It's still 5 of the best players that we have on the team. They show up, they do their work, they put the time in, and hopefully they can get rewarded with all that hard work by a win today.
I definitely think you guys are definitely capable of winning this series. 2-0, in fact.
Yeah, 2-0. Yeah, absolutely.
So I am encouraging you guys to play well and get UCM to win there.
Absolutely, yeah.
They're itching for it. They want it.
Yeah, they definitely. I want it. I want the win. I want to get the 2-0. Yeah, absolutely.
Well, thank you for joining us today. It's been
no
great
problem.
having you, and we'll see you guys in a little bit whenever the match starts.
everybody, and welcome to UCM Esports. We are going to be casting the game today between UCM Esports and Olbrien College.
Yes.
Excuse me, I kind of lost it there. But we are going to be getting into, unfortunately, last week, Indiana Tech was not able to make it to the game.
They forfeited, sadly,
resulting in a forfeit, but we did get the win in the series for UCM. So that is a positive there. Not much to take away because we did not get to play against them there.
We did have a nice little scrim, but
we did.
I mean, that's not, pro or tournament level gameplay. That's more of, flex picking.
Yeah, solo queue, basically.
Solo queue, yes.
I do want to get into how will the 2 weeks in between tournament play affect UCM's gameplay today?
Yeah, so obviously UCM hasn't just been sitting around doing nothing. They've been training. They've been trying out new champions, making sure that their skills are still up to par. So I'm hoping today, that they come in, itching for that fight, getting that win. But of course, training and performing are two very different things.
Very, very different things. And I also want to talk about how, what can they bring from the game or the series versus Waldorf into today to hopefully 2-0 Olbrien College today? Do you have anything they can build on?
Yeah, so from 2 weeks ago, we had that Elysian jungler. It was amazing. He was making sure that mid gank potentials were almost guaranteed kills. He came in and then secured the kill, not for himself for the most part, but for the mid laner who really needed it. And I think that the jungler can really position himself well that they can, get that win again.
Have a big effect on the outcome of the game. That Elysian was very, very nice. I do remember he had some great ward hops into his ultimate into the Tibber.
Yeah, the Tibber.
As Annie likes to say, yeah. So that was very, very nice against Waldorf. Another thing that I think they can build on is the vision control. They had very nice vision control versus Waldorf. If they continue that and continue to kind of build on that vision there, they will do very, very well today against Olbrien.
That's why the jungler was able to gank mid lane. If they know where the rest of the team is, they don't have to worry about somebody else joining the fray of the fight.
Yeah.
So keeping that vision score will lead them to big successes. We also saw that Jinx, hyper carry in the bot lane, the match that they won, she ended up having like 7 kills, 22 minutes in. Yeah. And for Jinx, that's not somebody that you want to see happen. Yeah. That's a very scary thing.
I want to ask you, what do you think UCM's priority picks are going to be today? Are they going to pick more of the meta champs like Orange, Senna, Set, Felios? Or are they going to go more for their style, such as in the Annie or the Jinx or the Renekton that we've seen time and time again here?
Yes. Well, I do think Ornn can be picked. Like, even with the priority pick, I think he's very strong. And for UCM, I think they'd probably pick him as well. There's really no downside to Ornn right now. While he is getting a slight nerf in the future, it is not guaranteed. It's not in this current patch right now. So why take him out whenever he's still very strong?
Yeah, he is very, very strong, and I do expect to either see a ban or pick on that Ornn. I don't believe we've seen UCM play him during this tournament span here, and we are getting into the pick and draft here, the picks and bans. As you can see there, UCM does ban Alawi, and Olbrien bans Caitlyn there, as you can see.
Yes. Yes, that is so. I can't wait to see Alawi. Definitely a strong character. I mean, it's definitely weird. You don't really see her too much, but if she ults in a team fight, everybody's done for.
Yeah, if she gets a big ult, generally in the middle of the team, she spawns more tentacles and does a lot more damage. That Caitlyn ban there, I personally, as we see the Senna ban,
I think that was a good ban.
Very good ban there. We know Senna's very strong at the moment. She's good at support or ADC, and they do choose to ban her. We
do see UCM ban the Mordekaiser. Yeah. Very strong top laner, can isolate somebody from a fight if they don't build an item to get away from that. So that was, I think that's.
Yeah. Set ban coming out from Oberlin. Set is a very, very strong pick right now. He is at the top of the food chain when it comes to top laners, and he was an expected pick or ban here. But just the latter.
But I am glad to see UCM pick Ornn. And like I was just saying it. Not really a downside to Ornn right now. He upgrades items. He's tanky. Does damage. Why stop that?
Does a lot of damage there. As we see Oberlin pick Urgot. Urgot is a very
He's the raid boss.
Yeah, he's can get to a raid boss. If he gets fed, he's very hard to kill with a lot of life still coming, I believe, from his Q, like the machine gun or whatever it's called. He can get very, very strong there. But Ornn versus Urgot is a very tanky matchup.
We do see a Lux come out. That could either be a mid Lux or support Lux. What do you think?
I think it is going to be a mid Lux. I don't see why they would pick her at support when there are supports such as Tom Kench, Leona, tankier supports that generally can do a lot more in the utility group. So I do believe that is going to be a Lux support or mid there.
We do see UCM come out with the Brand and the Annie. Annie will be going mid, as we saw from 2 weeks ago, their game. And the Brand's going to be the support. Now, I've been seeing a lot of Brand supports lately, and that's just a lot of poke damage coming out from him. It is scary facing him if he doesn't get damaged.
He is very, very strong in support. I personally hate going against a Brand support. Those pillars coming at you as an ADC are not something that you want to see. An Aphelios ban coming out from Oberland. That is an expected ban there. Aphelios is pretty strong. He has received nerfs, I believe, for like the last 3 or 4 patches. Many people think he is very, very strong, so that is expected.
We do see the Olaf ban come out of UCM. They might be trying to go for a CC or crowd control jungler because Olaf's ult makes him unstoppable. Stuns and slows don't really affect him. So I think that ban might be affecting their jungler pick.
That could be. I do fully expect, if we're playing off of the Waldorf tournament, I do expect UCM to be picking that Elysian. It was very, very potent. I don't believe there's any reason to not pick it. So I do expect that to be coming out. Olaf does counter Elysian's ult with his own ult, so that is just one more way to make their Elysian pop off pretty much.
And we do see Hecarim. That, is a scary jungler. He's very fast. You don't really want to see him running up from behind you, because that's basically a guaranteed kill at that point.
Honestly, that's an interesting ban, because I don't think we've seen Hecarim come out from UCM throughout this entire tournament.
I don't think so either. Maybe they're just scared of Hecarim.
So maybe they scouted. Maybe one of our players or maybe our jungler was playing it in solo queue and they scouted him. But I'm not sure about that Hecarim ban. But nonetheless, they decide to go with it, and we see a Blitzcrank ban coming out of UCM.
Yeah, Blitzcrank, definitely an annoying tank support to get rid of. His grab pulls you in instead of bringing him to him.
Yep. As you can see there, a thresh pick. So Blitzcrank pulls them in. He doesn't have to go on himself. Thresh, you guys meet in the middle basically, but that thresh pick should be very, very well, or work very, very well for Oberlin there, because Brand and Ashe,
the Sivir, she just has that. I think it's her Q that just throws the giant axe, which goes forward and then back, doing more damage as it goes through. If Thresh can land a hook and Sivir can land that, that's just a lot of damage early on.
A lot of damage on 2 very, very squishy champs in Ashe and Brand. If Thresh gets a hook on Ashe or Brand, I do expect them to die. Thresh is very tanky, and he is running Ignite. As you can see there also, that Lux is in the mid lane. Now, before we get into the game, I do want to announce our social medias, the first of which being Facebook. For those of you guys that want to come and join the team, the application date for that, the deadline is tomorrow.
Yes.
Come out
tomorrow.
If you're good at League of Legends, Rocket League, Overwatch, come out and join us.
We do also have our Twitter at UCM Esports. That's where we'll be posting our game times, just like the one you're seeing now. So give us a follow.
On Instagram at UCM Esports 1. Come visit. We post videos of gameplay, videos of players, things like that.
And then we also have our Discord, where our players use to chat with each other and use for their games. So if you want to join, see what's going on, love to have you.
Come chat with the players, maybe get a couple solo queue games in. You will never know. But in the meantime, we are going to be showing you a short informational video for those of you that don't know much about League. Enjoy.
Hello everyone, and thank you for joining us today. My name is Mason, and I'll be going over the basics of the game before we begin. League of Legends is a MOBA, a multiplayer online battle arena. The game consists of 2 teams of 5 players. who will choose their champions to play as, each with their own special set of abilities. Each player has a specific role to fill in a certain area of the map, called lanes. Top lane usually consists of tanks and bruisers, characters that can take a lot of hits. Mid lane is usually for mages and assassins, who deal a lot of damage in a small amount of time. Bot lane has 2 players in it for each team, the AD carry and support. The ADC is someone that does a lot of damage from a long distance, and the support stays with them in order to keep them protected. Finally, the jungler has no set lane. They roam around in between the lanes in an area known as the jungle, killing monsters and jumping in to attack whatever lane needs help, an action known as ganking. The objective of the game is to push each lane forward, killing minions and destroying turrets that protect the enemy. Killing other players rewards gold, which can buy items and make your characters more powerful. The game ends when one team pushes all the way into the opponent's base, destroying this structure, called the Nexus, and winning the game.
And here we are. We have UCM's lineup today. We have Mason, 8-bit hypocrite on the top lane. We have IP Slow, which is Dominic, in the jungle today. We have Jacob, who's Fly Gills, in the mid lane playing that Annie. We have Jen Caitlin as Jackson on the bot lane as the Ashe. And we have Matthew, which it's you or me, as that brand.
Yeah, a pun on the Yuumi champ. We have not seen him play Yuumi in this tournament. But
I want to.
As you can see there, he clearly likes Yuumi. Now, about the picks and the composition here from both teams. Looking at the compositions, which team do you think has the advantage as far as early game goes?
Early game? That's honestly, it's a bit hard. We do have that Warwick jungler against Elysian. Elysian does a lot of damage. Warwick, I know, has a lot of lifesteal though. He has the Blood Hunt, so he can get into lanes a lot faster for the ganks. I do think though UCM might have the early game and the late game. With that Ornn,
Very interesting.
and the Ornn's going to give him the late game.
Yeah.
And we have the Ashe and the Brand in the bot lane. Might give him that early game if they're able to land their skill shots.
That is very, very true. There is a lot of damage coming out of the bottom lane in the early game, but I do think that Olbrien does have the advantage come late game. The tankiness of the Thresh, the tankiness of the Urgot, the Warwick. If he builds tank, he's very tanky. Even if he doesn't build tank, he's very hard to kill with that passive. So I do think as far as the length of the game going on, I do think that Olbrien does have the advantage if it goes far into about the 25 to 30 minute range, I believe. So
now we do have the Urgot and the Warwick, who's going to be doing a lot of lifesteal. Hopefully we can see some Executioner calling items, which reduces the healing effects on them, come out. I think that will be very useful.
We talked about that week 1 where UCM didn't build any items that have the passive with grievous wounds, and they paid very, very dearly for that. So I do hope to see UCM making some adjustments there, and if the Warwick is popping off, them building things like Morello's or Executioner's Calling or items like that have the Grievous to kind of contain the Warwick there.
Yeah, and we will see Danny come in once again. I know we talked about it last time. The jungler was the one who gave the Annie a lot of kills early on. Let's see if the Annie can do that, by herself this time. Obviously, we still want the jungler to come in and help out, but it'd be nice if the Annie can establish that lane dominance. Remember the first game, her CS wasn't exactly the best. Second game, got a lot better. I want to see an even better Annie.
Well, I think she's going to do very well because UCM has picked that Lee Sin pick again. Those two clearly had very, very good synergy, were communicating very well with each other. Their ults were on point. If Lee Sin decides to put priority on mid lane again, I do think the Annie will be able to pop off. Hopefully better than what we've seen her in the early weeks. So more like as we get into the game here, but more like the last game against Waldorf. But we are into the game here. Both teams are at the respective jungle entrances, just trying to watch for any shenanigans there.
UCM is standing at all the entrances to make sure that nobody gets in anywhere. But it looks like they might be going in for a bot side.
Thresh may. Generally, what happens there, if you have a Thresh or a Blitzcrank, they'll stand in that Dragon Pit there, and they will throw their hooks towards that
bush.
The bush that's right behind the dragon pit. A lot of people like to stand there, and if you can get some cheeky kills there, especially with Blitzcrank because he pulls them over the wall.
Yes.
You can get some very cheeky kills there, but they decided to back off of that.
Thresh, however, cannot pull him over the wall, so it would have just been to know who's there and to get a little bit of damage done.
Yes, Sivir probably, I'm pretty sure she starts Q. She probably would have thrown her Q over and got some damage and forced the recall.
Unless,
which would have been nice.
Thresh pulls them in and they all wanted to flash over the wall early on.
That would have been very, very kamikaze. But
it would have been a troll move,
it didn't happen. Here we have Warwick taking his blue buff. Very, very common here. Very common start. He is going to grab the Gromp after that. He could gank bottom if bot is pushed up, but I doubt that will happen.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Yeah.
While Sivir and Thresh are pretty strong, especially with the pull from the Thresh, I don't think they'd be able to get a kill this early on with the Warwick.
Probably not. Warwick does not have much CC outside of his ultimate and his fear. He does not start with the fear, so he may grab at level 2, he may not.
It would either be he grabs his bite, which regains health, and his fear, or he would grab his bite and then Blood Hunt.
Yep.
And if he does not pick Bloodlust, he will not be getting into that lane for a very easy gank. They would have to be very far pushed up to do that.
And Urgot is getting great poke off here on the Ornn. Ornn is at about 50% HP there. Urgot is not playing games without Ornn in no way or capacity.
I do think the Ornn does have the first level advantage because he's most likely, I think he went Q, which is he smashes the ground and then a pillar comes up. It does a lot of damage. It's very hard to miss if you just aim it right at him. Urgot doesn't really have the most for that early on. It's also going to be a fact that Ornn can buy his items from lane. So if he does get a little bit low on health, a little bit low on mana, if he has the money, he can just buy an item.
As Elysian is here on the Urgot in top lane, takes a bit of damage from the tower, has to back off. They do not have the damage at level 3 to kill the Urgot, but they do get quite a bit of poke damage off. I'd be anxious to see if he decides to re-gank that. I don't believe they burned Urgot's flash.
They did not.
He still has his flash, so coming back to try to burn that flash would be a pretty effective move there from the Lee Sin.
We do have the Warwick looking at the topside river, maybe trying to do something mid, but doesn't. Lux is too far pushed forward.
Way too far pushed forward. And Ashe does spot out the Warwick with that cross map E, the bird. That bird of hers. So they do know Warwick is on the top side of the jungle here. Very, very nice E there from the Ashe.
I mean, the Ashe's E, doesn't do any damage.
Yeah.
It doesn't. So some people might not necessarily think it's a good thing, but it's just great for vision, especially early on, whenever you might get that level 2 gank from a jungler. Just a good Ashe. A good Ashe bird allows everybody to know where they are.
Yeah. All utility, but a very, very strong utility.
If she
move.
finds them.
Yeah.
I should mention that.
Best thing about it though is its global ability. So you can shoot it clear from bottom lane. You could be affecting top lane. You can call out ganks for your top laner or mid laner from the ADC spot. As Brand is here, misses the pillar. Lee Sin is also here. Lee Sin goes in with the Q, whiffs it. Sivir gets a bit of poke damage off on the Brand and the Lee Sin, forcing Lee Sin to back off.
That's going to be a flash on the Thresh, which is not good to have early on, especially with this Poke comp. We talked about it. Brand does a lot of damage, and his Pillar of Fire, very hard to get away from. With Ashe's slow, it makes it even easier for Brand to hit those. So I'm expecting an early kill from UCM. As we do have Urgot just going away, getting his CS. Ornn has pushed up his wave to the tower, which I expected that. Ornn doesn't really have... sorry, not Ornn.
As UCM is here on the Inferno Drake there, they do secure it. Warwick is dillying around in UCM's top jungle there, taking the Gromp. So great call there from UCM to take that jungle, or take that Inferno there.
They got that as soon as it spawned up. That was only 16 seconds after it came up that they got it. So that is very good communication coming out from UCM.
Very nice communication. Though UCM is still down by about 100 gold, I'm guessing that's coming from minions as Ornn hits a big knock-up on the Urgot. Urgot tosses Ornn back into the tower, forcing him to back away.
I know that Ornn was going for the brittle attack there. Did he actually land that off? Or did the Urgot throw him over as soon as...
Ornn decides to use his ultimate. Urgot flashes the Ornn horn. Ornn takes big damage, is forced to back away. Great flash there from the Ornn.
Oh, man. Yeah, but that is a flash down on the Urgot. Sadly, Ornn was expecting the kill, so he took turret damage.
If he did hit that, though, it would have killed the Urgot there. The Urgot there. As Warwick comes in, and Ornn is able to get away. He has to burn his flash, though.
Yeah, the flash, I mean, sadly, we weren't able to see that Warwick coming in, but he was in the top jungle, and Bloodhunt was allowing him to get to that Ornn really fast.
I do want to say, Ornn did make a mistake by recalling where he did. If he just would have recalled under his tower, he would still have his flash now. It would have taken all of 2 more seconds to walk under the tower and then press the B button to back. That was a mistake by him, but he does not die.
I do that all the time too, so it's very easy to think like you're safe, and you're not really.
Or was it just a great play from the Warwick, knowing that he was going to be recalling?
I mean, Warwick knows where he is, essentially, with the blood trail that comes off of him. So it was very hit or miss, but there was not really a downside for the Warwick.
Yeah. Sivir's taking some damage here. Thresh does hit the Q there, his hook, but on a minion, so not the target.
I don't think I've seen him hit a hook yet. So I wonder, just if he's just trying to go and trying to hit something, or if he's like just trying to make him go in a certain direction. So the Sivir,
but he throws another one and whiffs it. Warwick is coming down from the river, but UCM is pretty far away. He is not, as he does get a bite off on the brand. Great play there from the Thresh. Ignite on the Ashe, but they are able to walk away from that gank. Warwick was very, very fast there. I did not think he was gonna.
I did not think so either. He isn't running Predator, and he doesn't have his upgraded boots. He does have boots though. So it's giving him that little bit of extra speed early on. You don't really see it too much, but for Warwick, it's a great build.
Plus the Bloodlust that he had. So I'm sure he was using it there to cover ground. He was very, very quick there.
We did have to see the brand waste his flash, and not waste, use his flash, and then the Ashe use her heal. Luckily, the brand was able to stun the Warwick. Nobody thought that the Warwick was going to get there in time anyways. But if Brand wouldn't have done that, that possibly would have been a kill. Because Warwick, his fear went off. But instead of pushing him towards the enemies, since he got the stun off, it pushed them towards their tower.
And I'm not sure if we had it on camera there, but Ornn did go down. Urgot does have a kill. I'd be anxious to see that as Thresh takes a big, big pillar from the brand and dies.
Nice.
Elysian gets in, gets a nice kick off on the Sivir, pushing her back into the Ashe, and that is a double kill for UCM.
And once again, great communication coming out. Ashe Arrow freezes. Sivir? Yes, the Sivir. Early on, while the Thresh wasn't as close, allowing them to burst that down, and while Thresh is trying to get away, Elysian comes from the back.
Warwick ults on to the Ornn there. Urgot tossing him back and pounding away at the Ornn. Ornn goes down for the second time.
You hate to see that too. That's a teleport that he just used. So he literally got back to lane
and got ganked
and died instantly.
Yeah,
you hate to see that.
Hate to see it. He's gonna have to walk back. He is very, very
walk
slow.
of shame.
But he got ganked. He got caught. He will be warding up. I'm sure of it. But hopefully he can do better next time. But let's talk about that double kill. Elysian coming in getting a great ward hop kick into the Sivir there to secure his ADC.
He
double kill.
Sadly wasn't able to get behind the Sivir to alter into his teammates, so he had to use the flash for that. But I think I think he needed to secure that kill. They got already one kill. They just want to secure both. So that Ashe is going to be 2-0 right now.
Why not? 2 is better than 1. Let's secure the Sivir kill though. But Annie and Lux here are just farming away. Annie is up by about 7 CS on the Lux here.
That's what I wanted to see. The first game, CS wasn't that good. Second game, we went up a little bit. Now this Annie CS is above her counterpart.
And it is looking like, as Lisa instills the Scuttle Crab. That's what that little guy's called. As Elysian skills the Scuttle Crab there with the smite. But it does look like this Annie is wanting to pop off, she does have the ring there, the ring that stacks up with kills and assists. I forget the name.
No, it's not Dark Harvest.
But there is a team fight, and Brand is called out between 4 members of the opposing team. I'm not sure what he was doing there. Thresh pulls in the silver, and IP Slow is able to finish off the silver, and Jen Caitlin is able to finish off the Thresh there.
Now that was only 1 down for UCM.
Yeah.
2 down on the side of the enemy team. Sadly, the jungler just went down for the side of UCM. That Lee Sin cannot contest that Drake now. Annie looks like she's trying to ward them off, but Warwick can easily take this Drake if he wanted to.
Yeah, Warwick is very, very good at soloing dragons. As Urgot is pulling the Ornn back into him, Ornn is able to dash away. That little Urgot dash and toss is a very strong move. I do not remember the name of it, but I like that little move there.
And luckily, and we talked about Executioner's Calling, we forgot to talk about the counterpart for the tanks, which is forgetting the name.
Bramblevest.
Bramblevest, yes, there we go.
Into Thornmail.
Which, Thornmail, that's what I was specifically looking for. Thank you for that. That reduces the healing as well. Now, it's not something that he attacks and it does it. The enemy actually has to attack him to inflict it. So, but Urgot's an all-in kind of champion. As a raid boss, he just moves around constantly doing damage. So that's a great item for Ornn to get early on.
Now, Annie is recalling. She is going to be finishing off those 2 spell books that she has there. She upgrades it. Looks like she's going to be going for a Luden's Echo, a very common item on pretty much every AP mid laner right now. It has great stats. It gives you AP. It gives you cooldown reduction. It gives you mana. What is that word?
Mana regen.
Mana regen.
There we go.
Thank you. Thank you, Josh. It gives you mana regen.
We need a dictionary here today. We're just getting our words left
struggling
and right.
on the words there. But it is a very, very good item. And she has great damage with that item. But there is a fight going on in the bottom lane. Warwick does ult onto the Brand, securing that kill for his team. Ashe is trying to slow it. She does dodge a big Thresh hook there. Lee Sin misses the Q, and Lux misses her Q. And he comes in with the big Tibbers, but the Thresh goes golden. To no avail, he is still caught between 3 members of UCM. And as you can see there, we have Tibbers, or with that anniversary skin there, we have a giant Teemo running through the Olbrien College team there.
No, I don't think that Brand was expecting that Warwick. He jumped over the wall with his ultimate, which got him that quick kill.
And
luckily,
UCM.
UCM is going to take the second Drake. Let's see what the soul's going to be.
It is a mountain Drake there, so the soul will either be an Ocean, or, and it is Ocean. So, Ocean, the way it affects the map is it expands a couple of the brushes there. As you can see, the brush that Lee Sin is currently fighting in there was not there before the Ocean Soul. It is now there. It also expands some brushes that are already on the map, as the one that Lee Sin just walked by, and it also spawns more honey fruit. When you attack the honey fruit and then run through it, you gain HP and you gain mana. For those of you that don't know, so Ocean is a very utility-oriented soul there.
Yes, all the Drakes coming up to the soul will replenish 2.5% of their missing health per 5 seconds, which is very strong.
Mana.
Mana too, yes. And while the honey fruits are more useful, I would say, to the junglers and mid laners, it's still a very great.
And Lee Sin and Annie catch the Lux out in the middle lane, and she does go down.
I'm impressed with this Annie. Like I said, I was expecting her to do great things. She's been improving, and we are seeing it today.
And I will say that this is not the same Annie player that we saw last week. Fly Gills was not playing on Annie last week, and he is this week. So this is a completely different mid laner here for UCM Esports.
Well, Annie's still doing great.
She is doing
and I'm glad to see her
very well. But there is a fight here around the Rift Herald. UCM is able to secure that. Josh, why don't you tell us what the Rift Herald does?
So the Rift Herald, whoever picked it up, which was, I actually can't see who picked it up. Whoever picked it, Lee Sin did. Okay. Lee Sin picked it up. It will stay in his inventory.
As Warwick is onto this Ornn, he does ult him under the tower. Thresh hits a big flaying Q there as Ornn goes into the meat grinder, and that is a kill for Urgot.
Okay, so before we go into the Rift Herald, let's talk about that Urgot ult. For Urgot's ultimate, he throws some weird spike thingy. And if it lands,
basically.
Drill. And if it lands on a champion, he has a certain amount of time to take away their health to a certain percentage. If the health goes beyond that certain percentage, it's an instant kill. Urgot pulls them in with his chains, and the champion is killed, and everybody gets feared around him.
Yep, he meat grinds them, and it is a very, honestly, you never want to die to that, but it is a very cool death animation. When you die to an Urgot
it's scary.
Chains
across your screen.
across your screen, and your screen goes red, and you are pretty much meat grinder.
Yeah.
There's no other way to put it. But UCM is doing very well here on objectives. They've secured 2 of the Drakes. They've also secured the Rift Herald. We have not seeing where they plan to use that Rift Herald yet, but that is a great pickup there.
And speaking of which, the Rift Herald. Once that Elysian, we'll put that down in a lane. It will spawn the Rift Herald that they just fought. If the Rift Herald is able to get to the turret, it will charge up an attack and then slam into it. If the turret still has armor, it takes away 2 ticks of it. It has 5 ticks in the total armor. I believe that's 2,000 health of the turret gone. And if the Rift Herald is able to take out the turret itself, it just keeps on continuing. So if we see UCM clear out top or bot side and just put it down, we might see a tower or 2 get taken.
He's a very strong, the Rift Herald, as Thresh does hit a flay into his ultimate and chain on the Brand, pulling him into the tower, and that is a dead Brand. Sivir does ult here, trying to catch out the Ashe. Ashe is able to flash away, and Thresh had to waste his Ignite on that. As Lux whiffs on her ultimate, Warwick is here chasing down the Elysian. They decide to turn around.
Man, I was not seeing that Brand die and Ashe get away. I'm like, ooh, she's safe. Then all of a sudden, Lux ultimate comes in. Wasn't expecting that. And then we look up a little bit further. Everybody's just coming down.
The cavalry is just there. I do believe that they may try and dive this. Annie does have her ultimate up and her stun. It could be lights out if they do decide to dive this. As you can see there, they back away. It is very tempting to dive once you see a Thresh hook hit.
Yes, that is it's a very scary thing. Not only will you get pulled in, but if he lands his E, you're knocked out for a second, I believe. And then if he really wants to, and he has it up, his ultimate cages them in.
It's something around like 99.
I think it's 99%.
Yep.
And they take damage, and then everybody else, they only take the slow after that.
Yeah.
So it's definitely very scary to deal with.
It's called the box. You never want to be in the box. Any move called the box? No, it's not for me. Ornn and Urgot are still here fighting away. They are extremely even in CS, which is surprising because Urgot is 3-0-0 and Ornn is 0-3-0.
Did you see that? Lux left the game.
Lux, it must have been a DC. This is a tournament game. So they must be having, as you can see
back.
there, must have been an internet connection issue, but she is back, and the integrity is still
Somebody tripped over a wire. Turned off real quick. It's fine.
As there is a team fight here in the bottom, Brand's ult is poking away. Warwick may die to that Brand passive, but he is able to get away. That was very, very close call for the Warwick.
No, that was... He survived on the skin of his teeth.
As there is a bunch of things going on here, but the Urgot is caught between 4 members of the UCM team, and the Rift Herald is pushing on that bottom tower there. It is going to get that charge off. UCM is posturing around the dragon here, and it seems that Olbrien does not know if they want the dragon or the Rift Herald there in the bottom lane.
And they're leaving the Rift Herald there. Warwick finally goes back.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, UCM doesn't know that's the Warwick that went back, because they may have been able to contest that Drake a little bit more, but, you know, it was very awkward. You know, they were trying to just set up a diversion as they come up. And they come up
and they are going to take, or try at least, to take this dragon. UCM may not be able to contest as their ADC, the Fed ADC might I add, is at the back of their base. As Elysian does go in, he is snared by the Lux, and Lux is able to finish him off. I do believe in the Waldorf series we did see Elysian come up with a very clutch Baron steal. He was trying to steal the Drake there. I'm not sure that was a good idea without any of his teammates around. He did pay the cost, but it cost.
I think maybe he was trying to, you know, land the Q, take the Q over, and then ward hop over. But sadly, it looks like you get just an enemy champion instead. So He went
As
on
Thresh
it.
is here on this Annie. Annie fails the flash over the wall, is trying to run away. She is feared. Lux whiffs her ult on the Annie, but she does hit the Q. That is a dead Annie, and there's a flex there with the little emote coming from the Warwick. Very interesting.
I thought you were talking about that Urgot ult that just flew right past her.
They used 2 ults there to secure that kill on the Annie. The Lux and the Urgot ult did whiff, but they do get the kill there.
Sadly,
Brand does get a stun off on the Lux. Lux is very, very hurt. The Brand passive does proc, and Lux is dead.
Brand's passive, like, he already does a lot of damage, but the Brand's passive...
Warwick is here fighting Lee Sin,
really
and he
close.
does get the blue buff, I believe, as Lee Sin kicks him back over the wall, and that was just a buff transfer, it looks like.
Yeah. That almost turned out bad for UCM. The kick over as Ornn and Brand went over the wall. But luckily Ashe was also there, able to finish that off. But it was sad to see the Annie couldn't flash over the wall. Sometimes that happens. You got to be really close.
Thresh hits a hook on the Brand, decides not to fight it. Urgot has to back away.
It looks like this might be tower taken.
I don't know if they have enough minions there to take it. Yeah, they have to back away. But they do get off some great damage on that mid tower there. And I also want to talk about this Fed Ashe here. Ashe does have her Blade of the Ruined King finished and her Run and Tear Cane. She also has the upgraded Blade of the Ruined King coming from the Ornn passive there.
And it looked like she had about 800 gold up on her counterpart ADC, which that's about half and quarter item for some, half item for others.
800 gold plus the gold efficiency coming out from the upgraded Blade of the Ruined King from Ornn's passive. Can you talk about Ornn's passive for us?
Yes, so Ornn's passive, what it does, it not only allows armor and magic resist percentages to go up whenever he builds items. So if he has, let's just say, 100 armor from an item, he gets like an extra 10 armor for whatever it is. But he also upgrades items. He upgrades 2 for himself, and then 1 for each of his players. And so it looks like the first one he did go off of was the Ashe. She is 5 and 0. She's very fed right now. That upgrade item usually gives stat bonuses like extra attack damage, extra attack speed, extra lifesteal.
Yes, things like that.
So
Lux does get a big off on the Brand, and he is very, very close to dying. This is a very fast Warwick, and he does see blood. Has to back away because the rest of UCM is there.
I was afraid that Warwick was going to ult right on. I'm like, somebody get in front of the Brand, please. But luckily he gets away.
Yes, that upgraded item there from Ashe does give her a lot of gold efficiency there, plus the 5 kills and the 2 assists that she already has. UCM is funneling kills into her, and if Olbrien doesn't, as Thresh hits the Q onto the Annie, Annie was there by herself versus 4 of the Olbrien teammates, as Thresh just barely misses a Q on the Lee Sin.
We really haven't...
Urgot flashes into the Ashe and misses his grab. Lee Sin kicks him back under the tower as Ashe is able to dodge a big Lux ult there. Thresh does get a grab off on the Ashe, but his teammates are not there to follow up, and that is a dead Thresh, securing a double kill for the Ashe.
Maybe that Sivir had some red buff on.
Either a red buff or the last few minions there.
Okay, she's got around her.
So that red buff plus the last few hits from the minions are able to finish off the Lee Sin. That is very unfortunate for Lee Sin. Ashe is doing
more, though.
much. Oh my gosh, Warwick does ult in on the Ashe, securing the shutdown, and that is 1,000 gold going over to the Warwick as he takes the bush over the wall and is chasing this Brand down. Brand is able to burst the org down very, very quickly. Brand is going to go down to the Sivir there. That was a very interesting sequence of events there.
I'm glad Brand was able to get that kill. With his dying wishes, able to get that. He does so much damage that since the Warwick was low health, he's like, might as well. Might as well. But going to the fight before that, that was really well done by UCM. Lee Sin was able to get behind the Urgot, kick him into the tower while he's already pretty low on health. So that secured the kill right there.
Thresh is chasing the Annie, whiffs on the Q.
And then the Ornn comes out with the Ornn horn and separates the team. The Thresh is by himself in the mid lane, and the 3 other members of the enemy team are in the jungle trying to mess around with this Ornn. Ornn did a really good job of leashing, there we go, for his teammates.
As you can see here, Elysian is collecting his Raptors. This is a very, very close game. The goal difference is at about 1K here at 25 minutes in, going on 26. Who do you think has the advantage here so far?
Advantage for late
game
sense?
As there could be a team fight here. They are both wanting this dragon. Olbrien is in a very, very tight spot. If they are around that little pillar there and Orin does decide to go in, as Warwick whiffs the ult, going in, trying to engage, UCM is able to secure the dragon. Here comes the call of the Forge God as it goes only through that Lux there. So
still, UCM was
died.
able to take the Drake. That is 3 Drakes to 1 right now, 1 more, and they have Dragon Soul.
Yep, I do expect there to be a pretty big team fight around the next dragon, as Olbrien probably doesn't want to give up that Drake to UCM. The Ocean Drake,
at least not this early.
Yeah, the Ocean Drake is probably the strongest Dragon Soul in the game at the moment. You do not want to give that over to somebody like an Ornn. He becomes pretty much unkillable, a raid boss there.
Now you're talking about the tankiness of the enemy team, and I'd say it's starting to become very apparent right now.
UCM is forced off of that inhibitor tower there.
Urgot does have 4 kills. You know, he's doing pretty well, not doing terribly well. So he's starting to become that raid boss that I talked about earlier. Warwick just has a lot of lifesteal, a lot of sustain to keep him alive.
Things.
And then Thresh infinitely scales in armor if he keeps picking up on souls. So it is getting harder and harder for UCM to burst the team down. So we really do have to see either some nutty plays with the Elysian or Annie.
And Olbrien is burning down this Baron very, very quickly. UCM does know his hair. Thresh hits a Q onto the Ornn, not the one you want to grab. Ornn goes in, knocks up the Warwick. Big Lux ult coming in. Tibbers is there just fighting away. Olbrien is very, very low. Down goes the Warwick there, and down goes the Urgot, giving a double kill over to the Brand. Lux and Thresh are still here. Ashe is burning away, and she does go down to the Thresh. Very, very big fight there, and the Brand picks up a triple kill there.
That is really scary to have. You normally don't see Brand go supports. They just end up going damage. They buy the support item at the beginning, and they just build regularly at that point. Lux was able to survive that fight somehow. Elysian tried ward hopping over and tried getting her out of the fight, but she just did too much damage, and Elysian couldn't burst her down.
Yeah, it is very hard for Elysian to get onto a Lux because of her
light binding.
Yep, her light binding. So as soon as she sees the Elysian coming in with that second part of his Q, you just throw your snare out, and it is always going to hit the Elysian. Generally results in Elysian taking big damage from the Lux, but nonetheless, Lux is able to survive in that fight. The Baron is able to survive in that fight also.
That's still a win on the UCM side.
That is. And they are clearing out a pink ward there that was left in the Baron pit. Ornn is going to find another pink ward here.
No,
and he walks.
He wants the minions. Does not want to get rid of that ward.
He walks past the pink ward there. I'm sure he just didn't see it. Otherwise, he would have cleared that out there. He may see it this time, but he does not. And he is taking big damage from the Urgot. Urgot is backing away as he sees the Ornn coming in, but he does send Annie into the meat grinder.
The Ashe arrow did come in from the side, but I don't think it hit anybody. So Annie was forced to die there.
Yeah.
She also didn't have flash up, to mention that, so there was no way she was going to get away from an Urgot unless she landed a stun with her 4th basic hit or ability.
Ornn is caught out by the Thresh here. He is very, very tanky. I do not know if they can burst him down, but
they could burst down the Thresh.
They can. UCM can burst down that Thresh there. Thresh goes down. I'm not sure what Olbrien was doing there. They did have the advantage. They are doing very, very well, and the longer this game goes on, the better off they are. So I'm not sure why they were forcing the fight there. It was 4v5, I believe. Annie is coming back from her base.
So Annie was definitely not there.
Yeah. So I can see why they would take that.
It was all that Brand. That Brand secured the kill. Not only did he get the stun off, but I just saw a huge chunk of his health go away.
You also never want to... Ornn isn't the person that you want to land the Thresh hook on.
Yeah, sadly
not. If you land the Thresh hook on him, generally you don't want to engage on that. He is very, very tanky, very hard to kill with his stats. And then he has the Brittle Or is it
Yes.
brittle? Bellows breath is what it's called.
The brittle effect
yeah.
happens whenever he lands
uses
the last
bellow
bit of it.
Okay. Yeah, but Bellows breath allows him to be unstoppable, so he cannot be stunned. He cannot be disrupted, shall I say, in any possible way.
So if
it
Thresh
is not
was
who
to
you wanna
hook him,
land it on.
and he did it, wouldn't even matter.
Elysian hits a Q on the Thresh, decides not to go in. Lux hits a big snare on 2 targets that was on the Ashe. They decide not to go in on it. Ornn is in the middle of the enemy team. Urgot does go in on the Brand, hitting him with his ult, sending him to the meat grinder. Ornn is in the middle of the fight, taking big damage. Ashe does get hit by Ashe is doing very, very well in her kiting. She is fighting back here, has to try something, but goes down to the silver, resulting in a double kill.
Yeah, and sadly, they will not be able to get Ocean Drake unless Annie somehow steals this. Brand was the first one to go, and Brand has kind of been their big damage dealer. So after he was gone, UCM wanted to leave, but they were forced into the fight at that point.
As you were saying, Brand is the damage dealer. He also has extremely high kill participation. UCM has 18 kills. Brand has been there for 17 of UCM's kills. So at this point, Brand is much like their mid laner. Annie is 0-4-8. She has not secured any kills, but she has been there to assist.
Brand's been stealing them all.
Never want the support to be stealing kills there, but nonetheless, Brand has he has 7 kills there, 10 assists, 17 kill participation on the 18 kills from UCM. So he is very, very strong, and he is one of their win conditions here.
Yes, UCM will be clearing out their top side jungle because there are wards in it, and they'll be trying to get vision on that Baron. With the current fights that are going on, it's really anybody's Baron. They're such equal right now. It just involves 1 kill to stop the Baron from being taken or from the Baron being stolen. So we'll see what that happens as they kind of
posture around that Baron there.
Sizing each other up.
I do believe, though, if Oberlin gets this Baron, it is going to be a very, very uphill battle for UCM. Oberlin is up by about 2k gold here. A Baron, if used correctly, can result in massive gold advantages for the team that's using Baron with minion kills, taking towers, things like that. As Thresh hits a big hook on the Brand, decides not to go in on it. That was a high priority target there. I am very, very surprised they did not go all in on that Brand.
Thresh could have gone in. Warwick had his ultimate up, but they probably, that's a big wall to scale over. I don't know if they wanted to go.
Target. Ooh. I don't know there, but nonetheless, they decided not to. It is all in the past now. Both teams are trying to get mid priority here by pushing in the mid lane here. Thresh and Lux are fishing. Fishing is what I call when you're just shooting out CC abilities, such as Thresh's hook or Lux's snare. So generally, when fishing, once you catch a high priority target, as I was just saying with the Brand and the Thresh hook, you go all in. You don't fight unless you do catch one of those high priority targets. So that's what it looks like Oberlin is doing here. They are not trying to engage unless they do catch one of these high priority targets, being Brand and Ashe.
And what UCM, what they're doing right now is they're both trying to push up that mid lane to get that Baron priority. And
as Ornn does go in, Ashe hits a big ult onto the Lux. Lux flashes away. Lux is also hit by the Ornn Horn. Lux gets a big ult off into the middle of the fight. Ashe does secure a double kill. Ashe is able to flash away. Urgot goes down. That is a 4-for-1 on the side of UCM.
They are going to most likely take this Baron, as only Lux is up and her ultimate's down. I will say, I think the reason why UCM won that was because the enemy Lux flexed on them with an emote.
Way back in the game. UCM remembers. UCM does secure that Baron there. If Lux's ult was up, that could be a dangerous situation, as the Elysian was also very low. He could have been bursted down.
Yes.
But they are able to secure that, and this Ashe is now 11-3-9. She is very, very strong and has just completed her Phantom Dancer, and she has the IE.
Yes, that is, she is currently at 75% crit rate. Yes, Blade of the Rune King does not do it.
Items that is
which that is scary, and not only, but the Blade of the Rune King does do percentage-based damage no matter what. So if an Ashe she is auto building lethal tempo, which allows her to exceed the attack limit, which is 2.5. So with all those factors put in together, she could be doing
massive
maybe
damage.
even 3 autos in a second, which could deal potentially 200 to 500 damage.
I also want to say that as Warwick does flash and misses the Ashe, but he wants that kill very, very badly, Thresh is able to catch Ashe with the Q, and that is a dead Ashe. That is exactly what they needed, but Brand's ult and passive is disgusting. They were all huddled together. Brand's ult was going berserk, his passive was going berserk, and they are dead. Lee Sin gets a big kick onto the Urgot into the middle of his team, and that is a dead Urgot. Lee Sin is also looking for the Lux there. He decides not to chase it, and they do want to secure this last dragon, resulting in the soul for UCM.
Drake doesn't come up for another minute, though, which is going to allow everybody to get respawned in. Oh, wait.
No, it's up. Yeah, they were waiting
Man,
for it.
I looked at the timer wrong. Sorry, my bad. I was looking at the wrong one.
But
I was looking at blue buff.
they do secure as Lux comes in with the ult. Too late, too little. UCM is able to secure that dragon there. That was a big fight, and I dare say Olbrien, it is looking very dry for Olbrien. They were able to get onto that Ashe and secure the kill, but Brand is also a problem. Yeah. He absolutely destroyed Oberlin's team, and I don't know what they can do after getting to the Ashe.
Yeah. They spent so much utility getting to the Ashe, and we talked about earlier whenever the Thresh hooked the Brand, you're like, why didn't they go in? So does that mean, Ashe is a very high priority target too, but looks like Brand's
is also a high priority target.
Ashe is going to be doing a lot of solo damage to a champion. Brand's going to be doing the team damage.
Yep. It is a very, very pick your poison type of game here for Olbrien. If they get onto the Ashe, they're going to take massive magic damage from the Brand. If they get onto the Brand, they're going to take massive attack damage from the Ashe. So it is very pick your poison here. UCM is pushing mid along with this Baron buff, and they are looking to take this inhibitor tower. Thresh they're looking for a cheeky hook on one of the priority targets there, look like.
And what UCM is doing, they're sending 4 mid lane where
Warwick and Thresh were coming in from the side. Warwick ults onto the Ornn, not who he wants to ult. Thresh ult is coming out into the meat grinder, goes the Brand. That is a big pickup for Olbrien, and that gives him a little bit of space. UCM has to back away.
Yeah, I was just about to say what they're doing is they're having 4 push mid while Annie pushes the top lane with the Baron buff. But because Annie wasn't there, they weren't able to win that 4v5.
Yeah, one of the strategies here, when you see one of the opposing team members, split pushing is what we call it, generally you have a numbers advantage in the fact of either 5v4 or maybe 4v3 in the mid lane. Generally you want to engage on that because you do have that numbers advantage, and as you can see there, Olbrien engages and they are able to pick up that kill on the Brand, stifling the UCM there. And they do hit a hook on the Ornn, but as you can see, Ornn is not who you want to hook.
Ornn's getting really tanky at this point. He is almost full built at this point, so all of his extra armor that he's getting, and then his passive increasing it, and his runes even increasing it further, he's probably at like negating 65% of all damage dealt to him.
He is negating a lot. And I don't know if you saw in that last team fight, he did Bellow Breath's Warwick's ult. Warwick ulted onto him, and it hit, but did nothing because he was in that Bellows Breath animation. So as you can see there, Ornn is very strong. He's able to negate entire ultimates with one of his abilities there.
So it's very scary to have. We're just going to see them both trying to get that mid priority. The next Drake that's going to be coming up, since UCM has Dragon Soul, is going to be the Elder Drake. Very scary Drake to have. Anybody can get this at this point. As
Lux does flash very early there and is styling a bit with that emote.
The Pengu emote.
Does style a bit with that emote. She did flash very early, but that was probably a good idea because the Ashe arrow was coming in. Lee Sin is hit by a Q, but is able to get away with that shield.
So going back on the Elder Drake, anybody can grab it. You don't have to have Dragon Soul to do it. It just comes up after Dragon Soul is taken. With the Elder Drake, your members get not only a buff, but an execution, just like Urgot's ultimate, where if their health is taken below a certain point, it's a no matter what instant kill. Elder Drake gives that ability to everybody on the team that's alive.
Everybody on the team that's alive.
And once you have that up, it's either you're running away from the fight or you're
starting it.
Yeah, you're starting it.
So there will be a very, very big fight here in about 2 minutes when that Elder Drake does come up. It will possibly, actually most likely decide the game. This is a very, very close game. The gold difference is just about 200 gold. Here, 40 minutes into the game. So it is very, very close. This is anybody's game still. Both teams are doing very well for themselves, and they are posturing up for another fight. Elysian is here. Oberlin does not know he's here. He may just get a big kick onto a priority target, and Lux just absolutely destroys with that ultimate. Brand does take down the Lux. Urgot is in the back lane on the Brand, and he is not able to get it done. Brand secures a double kill. Oberlin has to back away.
You know, I didn't even see how such a good combo Horn and Elysian kick is.
Yeah.
Because the Horn knocked everybody up. Elysian came from the back and then kicked somebody, which it does a lot of damage if you kick the person into their teammates.
Yep, it knocks them up and does the full damage to anybody that it hits. UCM is going to try for this Baron. They do have a numbers advantage. It is 4 members to Oberlin's 3. Warwick is alive on Oberlin's team, but he is pretty low. UCM does decide to back off. Orn is on the front line chasing this Warwick. I doubt he'll go in on that.
I was going to say, I don't think they have the damage to. The one person taken out was the Ashe, and she's the one that's going to be doing a lot of the damage to the Baron. So since they have vision control on the Baron right now, they might be looking to get some other vision for the Elder Drake. We might see an Elder Drake and a Baron at the same time.
As we were saying earlier, this Orn is just so very, very hard to kill. Honestly, I doubt he'll die anytime soon in this game unless he is up against, say, 4 or 5 members and he's the last member of his team. He most likely won't be dying here. If he decides he wants to pill for Brand or Ashe, I don't think you're going to be able to kill either of those targets, whichever one he's pilling for, because he is so disruptive. So I do think that is UCM's win condition at this point. As Oberlin is around the Baron, both teams are kind of posturing. Oberlin is able to secure that Scuttle Crab there, so they do have vision and the speed boost. UCM is fighting the Dragon here right in the faces of Oberlin. Oberlin has to engage here if they want to have a chance for this soul here. Lux's ult does massive damage to the Brand, and Brand goes down, getting caught out. Warwick is knocked up, gets to the back line, fears the Ashe. Ashe is able to kite him and take him down. Thirst gets a big play on all of UCM. Orn knocks up the entirety of Oberlin, and down goes the Thresh to the Annie. Down goes the Ashe to the Silver, and UCM is aced.
Sadly, though, everybody on the UCM side did die.
And that is Elder Drake going over to Oberlin, as their top 2 priority targets are still alive. Silver is able to burn through this Elder Drake very, very quickly. So, unfortunately, UCM is ace there, but
I think it was because they finally, not finally, they did do it earlier, but they focused the priority targets. I was noticing that fight, Orn barely got touched until he was almost the last one left. Yeah. So that was just great communication on their side. To focus the other players. There's going to be Elder Drake for them. While they do not have the soul, like I said, execution on every single champion is scary.
This is going to be very, very sticky for UCM. I do expect them to kind of turtle and wait out the Elder Dragon buff. You do not want to engage a fight on an Elder buffed team.
But you know what Oberlin's going to try to do, most likely? Try to take Baron.
But
they know they have the kill potential.
I will say that only 2 members of Oberlin have the Elder Dragon buff,
that is true. Silver
and Lux, but those are the 2 people on the team who do the most damage. So if you want it on anybody, you do want it on those 2. So they're going to try to utilize that. I do expect them to group up and push with those 2 leading the way there.
I totally forgot that, if you're dead whenever the buff comes up, you don't get it.
Yep.
So that's true. They're probably not going to look for Baron since only 2 of them happen at this moment.
This is an extremely close game. UCM is
31
still
to
going
31.
Very, very aggressive here. As you can see, they are pushing up the middle lane, possibly posturing for that Baron. They are down by almost 3K. close to it. So that Elder Dragon there that they did grab did give Oberlin quite a boost in the gold advantage there.
Warwick's going to be taking his red buff for the moment, while UCM might be able to get someone out with the Ash Arrow.
Ooh, Silver gets a great spell shield off on the Ash Arrow, making her whiff. Thresh is in the front line. Urgot is in the front line. Thresh does hit a Q onto the Ornn, but that is not the target you want to engage on. Big Silver spell shield there on the Ash Arrow. Love to see that from the Silver.
We talked about it earlier. Since Dragon Soul is up, there's a lot more honey fruit, which is those green orbs on the ground.
And Oberlin is burning down this Baron extremely quickly. UCM is there. They know it is happening. They are going to try to fight this as Urgot goes in onto the Ornn. Ornn is in between 3 members. Jin Caitlyn doing big damage to the Warwick. Their Warwick was caught out by himself. Lee Sin is taking massive damage from the Silver, who does have the execution there. Bran is burning through Oberlin, and Silver is able to take down that Lee Sin with the execution damage from that Elder Drake there. Sorry about that.
Once
Just
again, Lux and Silver are able to survive. Like you said, they were the ones with Elder Drake, so I believe that buff is long gone now.
Yeah, it's gone now.
Yeah, but they were once again able to survive. That's going to be 3 for 3. No one's going to be able to take Baron because of it. No jungler is up.
These fights are very even at the moment. They're generally coming out with 2 members alive. As you can see there, Ornn and Bran were the last 2 members left on UCM side. Silver and Lux being the counterparts on Oberlin side. The fights are very even, and this match is on the edge of
it's
a
going on
blade
for a
here.
while. It's 47 minutes.
47
Usually don't
minutes,
see matches
man.
go on that long.
Not in this current day and age.
Maybe
that
back
meta
in.
is long gone. Maybe season 5, something like that, where Nivea, champions like that were very, very good. But not in this day and age. This is a very long match here.
Yes. And talking with the coach earlier, talking about a more tanky top laner meta coming in, we might end up seeing these longer matches.
We may, yeah. As the meta evolves into a tanky top lane meta, we may just see longer games come out from the rest of this League of Legends season, let's call it. As UCM is burning down this Baron, Ash is extremely quick at burning down Barons. Oberlin has no idea this. Actually, they just set a blue ward there. One of those one-hit blue wards. You know? Yes, they were extremely late. Bad vision there from Oberlin, but they know that, and they are going to try to remedy that here soon.
UCM also knew that Urgot was bot side, so even if they couldn't have taken the Baron and Oberlin tried to force a fight, Urgot's teleport would have been wasted.
Yep. And UCM is going to get very aggressive here at this Baron. Oberlin is going to try and protect this inhibitor tower. And let's talk about that. Here, 45 minutes in, there are no inhibitors down as Ornn does engage onto Oberlin, missing his Ornn horn. Silver does use their ult. They are deciding not to engage with that ultimate. But 46 minutes in, there are no inhibitors down, Josh.
Yeah, and that's kind of the key point for a lot of wins is getting that inhibitor, especially with Baron buffs. I don't know the minions whenever they're super empowered. I don't know their names.
It's super minions.
Super minions. Okay, that's all they're called. Super minions with Baron buff, almost impossible to kill without taking damage. They're just so tanky. So without an inhibitor down, it's very hard to keep pushing in whenever everybody's full built.
And both of these teams are extremely strong here with their items. Both mid laners are working on their final item. Both top laners are... Actually, Ornn isn't quite done with his last item, but his counterpart Urgot is. Both ADCs are fully built. In fact, I do expect the ADCs to start selling off their boots.
Yes.
Something that you see ADCs do once they are full built.
They need more damage coming out, or more lifesteal.
Expendable gold, like 4K. They do generally buy another item. Sometimes that's like a Guardian's Angel, which I expect Ashe to be buying here if she does trade in her boots.
Elder Drake is back up, though.
Yep, and they are going to be fighting for this Elder Drake here. Both teams are ready. Both teams are powered up, and this could decide the game.
But, as we know, UCM still has Baron buff. It doesn't look like Oberlin wants to take this fight at the moment. They're obviously going to stay there, making sure that if they do go in, that they have to respond to that.
And he does take a lot of damage there. Elder Drake is also doing big damage to UCM. I'm surprised UCM doesn't have one member in the middle lane with that Baron buff trying to get a bit of pressure off of the Elder Drake there. They do have Baron, so those minions are very strong. As Olbrien is going to push in on this Elder because UCM decided to walk to the middle lane. Here comes the Call of the Forge God. Ashe does hit her arrow onto the Thresh. Not the priority target, but he is burned down by the brand. There goes Tibbers on to the Silver. Silver is able to cleanse and flash away there. Lux and Silver are in the back here trying to fight this. Warwick gets in on the Ashe, or in on the Annie, and is able to kill her. This Warwick is very, very tanky. He was standing there tanking 3 members of UCM and the Elder Drake.
But nobody else to back him up. It's going to be Elder Drake for UCM. Yeah. And it looks like their Baron buff is burned. Is it still up? It's gone. Nope.
It's gone.
Sadly, that's still gone. Or that would have been an amazing push, like push potential. But with Elder Drake, they're going to keep going. Only Annie went down in that fight. So it's up to Urgot, Lux, and Sivir to try and stop this push.
And this could be game. Oberlin does only have 3 members of their team up. UCM has 4 plus the Elder Drake. Very, very strong buff. One of the second strongest buff, some say the first, behind Baron, or in front of Baron, shall I say, in the game. But they just don't have the minions to complete that push there.
Yeah, so they've been focusing all on mid lane, that the other lanes are only pushing by themselves. So if they could probably get the top and bot lanes.
Urgot is called out, but he does have the cavalry here with him. Lux misses the ult onto the Elysian. Silver is able to burn him down with that boomerang. Ashe ult and everything else in the box coming in on that Silver, and she is deleted.
Elder Drake just looks beautiful coming out.
Beautiful. They got wings and dragon breath and all that coming out of these champions, but UCM is doing pretty well now. They did get that middle inhibitor, and they are working on taking this top inhibitor.
And that's what I was just about to say. They need to push up their lanes to get the another inhibitor. Gosh, I cannot speak. Pushing up the lanes will allow a lot more minions to come in, and if they were to get another Baron, it'd be very hard for Oberlin to try and contest.
Yeah. As they are pushing in on this inhibitor, that is the second inhibitor for UCM. And as I said, this Ornn is very, very tanky. I said it a while ago.
Elder Drake
wouldn't die again. And there's Elder Drake. UCM is wiping the floor with Oberlin at the moment, and they are going to take this game.
You think Thresh can do it?
Through the series. No, he's not. As you can see there, he's recalling back home.
Yeah.
That is the game for UCM. It is 1-0 in this series. They're doing very, very well at the moment.
That was like 53 minutes. Like,
very long game.
I don't think I've been in a game like that in a long time.
Very, very long game. But we will be coming back at you with game 2 in the series, and we are going to toss this to the commercial. Back, everybody. We are here for UCM versus Olbrien College Game 2. UCM was able to take the first game of this series on the back of that Ashen brand.
Yes, and they were the huge power makers of that match. Luckily, they did have the Orn to upgrade their items, or maybe they might not have been able to do that much damage.
They were doing a very, very long game also. Generally, you don't see games go to 50 plus minutes in this meta. It is a very fast-paced meta. And both of those teams did have very strong early game champs also, so I'm quite surprised that the game did go for as long as it did.
Well, nobody was letting up, The kills were almost even for the entire time. The gold lead usually was in 2,000 gold, but they usually kept on switching.
Yep.
So, nobody was letting up. It was great work from both teams.
And there is a lot to build on for both teams. Neither team should be discouraged by that match, specifically Oberlin. They lost the match, but they lost due to the Elder Drake that UCM was able to secure their...
Dragon Soul really did help them out.
Yeah, the Dragon Soul is very, very strong.
Some people say that the Water Drake is one of the stronger ones in the current meta. So, especially with all the tanks, the Orn, everybody, they just kept on healing so much.
Are there any picks or bans that you expect to be repeated in this match? Say, do you think the Orn will be banned or picked again? Do you think the Ashe? Which champs do you think we're gonna see again, pick or ban?
I think I want to see the Orn again. I think it's gonna get banned though. That was, while I did see Orn miss a couple of his knockups, he was still tanky. He still had his ultimate, which is very scary. Luckily, the Sivir took a lot of them with her spell shield. Yep. But I still expect them to ban one. If they don't, I hope someone takes it. I don't think the Ashe though.
Yeah.
The Ashe got fed. Had 5 kills pretty early on, without dying. But she wasn't a deciding factor. That brand though was while Ashe was doing a lot, it's just with Brand's abilities to group damage. Yeah. And that's just way too scary. You might see a Brand ban.
May see a Brand
That's a tongue
ban.
twister right there.
Brand ban. But Oberlin may brand... as you can see, Oberlin may ban that brand there. Brand was doing a massive amount of AoE damage with his ult, and then also with Pillar of Flames, and with his passive, which procs and does more AoE damage to anybody around the champion that procs.
It's not a fun time when you face them.
We may see the brand ban, or we may see a pick to sort of counter that. So say maybe a pick that can engage a bit better in the bottom lane rather than Thresh. Maybe they pick Leona, who has great engage capabilities. Maybe they pick Blitzcrank, who has great engage capabilities.
If he doesn't get banned
something like that, yeah.
I was gonna say, Oberlin had 3 tanks, that's the reason why Brand showed off a lot more than Ashe. If there wasn't 3 tanky characters, I think Ashe would have done a lot more. I was gonna say, Urgot, super tanky. Warwick just had a lot of lifesteal. Thresh though, I felt like he got bursted pretty fast in a lot of fights.
Thresh in this game, outside of hitting hooks on priority targets, can't really do much. After he hits the hook, he goes in, and he's not able to really do much after that first catch. Flay into ultimate, yeah, but if he's not picking with this,
I was also going to say, as we go into the character selection, yes, it looks like, I believe, there's Oberlin, they banned the Caitlyn.
They do, so they do not want to see that Caitlyn there from Gen Caitlyn.
I mean, if somebody has their name as a champion, I don't want to face them
either. Do not want to face him. And there is the Illaoi ban coming out from UCMO. Again, they do not want to deal with her. She can be very difficult to deal with if she does get fed, as that ultimate, if it's in the middle of a team fight, does massive, massive damage.
We are going to see the Lee Sin ban. I didn't talk about that. I probably should have expected that one too. Our Lee Sin is pretty on point. Especially with the Orn, there was great synergies going on.
Yeah, has some great kicks. And there is a Taric ban. Taric is a champ that I absolutely hate. I do believe he is a sleeper. He's very overpowered, I think, personally. So I'm glad to see that Taric ban. It warms my heart.
And there's the Orn ban. I expected that one. So that's 2 of
3 now. 3 champs from last game have now been banned in the form of Lee Sin, Orn, and Lux. UCM does not want to deal with that Lux, and Oberlin does not want to deal with Lee Sin and Orn there.
So Lux's ultimate
Yeah.
is very strong, and it comes up very fast, a lot faster than you expect it to.
And it has a very, very short cooldown. It is if you have 40% cooldown reduction, which is the max without runes, it can get down to around like 28 seconds. So sometimes you can even use that ultimate twice in a fight, which is
Pre-patch, whenever
nasty.
she could reset it even farther,
Yeah.
whenever she got a kill.
Hey.
Rough times. But we do see a Maokai on the side of Oberlin, while UCM picks up the Renekton.
The Renekton we have seen time and time again from UCM, and there is the brand pick coming out from UCM again. I do expect that to be support brand again, because if you can get that kind of damage out of the support role,
Instead
why
of
not?
now you get two
mages.
big, yeah.
Yep, you get 2 mages there.
Oberlin is going to pick up the Jarvan 4 and the Nivea. Nivea is going to be going mid lane. What do you feel about that? Yeah, I know you said earlier.
Last game I was just talking about how around Season 5 Anivia was very good, and games were pretty long with champions like Anivia who do like to scale up. So maybe we'll be seeing another 55-minute game.
I mean, they did also pick a Maokai.
It
was very kind of hard to kill.
Very hard to kill.
So
very
they might
tanky.
be trying to go for a
Scale
long
up.
game
So
again.
we may see another 55-minute game here. Love to see it. Love to have you guys here with us. So that will be very exciting. As we see, UCM does pick the Annie again, a very tried and true pick for them. Can be hit or miss, but
I mean,
I
I feel
love
like they've been getting a lot about
Yeah.
it for Kit. Last game, early on especially, she was doing a lot. Late game, you know,
she kind of falls off if she can't
Yeah.
burst. That was a very, very tanky team that she
So,
was going against.
we'll see how she does well against Anivia this time.
We will see that. UCM decides to ban the Blitzcrank again. They do not want to deal with that. Blitzcrank can be a menace. Those hooks can come from especially if they come from the Fog of War, can be devastating to your team comp.
And I mean, I said that I wasn't expecting Ash ban, but Oberlin wants
There's
the Ash
the
out of there.
4th, scratch that, 5th champion from last match that is banned in this game. And there is
Oh.
Jin ban. I know that you really,
I know,
really
I
love
love
that champ.
I know Jin Caitlyn probably wasn't gonna go Jin,
Yeah.
but I still wanted to see it.
It's quite funny that they've banned Jin and Caitlyn to keep Jin Caitlyn from picking
Now,
either of those champions.
I think specifically they looked up maybe stats.
Yeah.
Usually you don't ban Jin
Mhm.
unless you see that someone's played a lot of Jin, because the skill gap for him is pretty big.
And there comes the Elise out of UCM. Elise is very strong early game with that long range snare in the form of her cocoon. She does do a lot of damage if she can get in on the opponent. She does execution damage with her spider bite, I believe. And she does even more damage to champions with more HP in her human form with that same Q. So Elise is very strong. And I want to point out, it looks like Oberlin is drafting for late game while UCM is drafting for early game.
Yes, we will see how that handles. If they stretch out this 50-minute fight, I'll be very surprised if UCM wins this. Their comp's not really made for the late game. I mean,
besides the brand.
yeah. So we'll see how this turns out. If they do end up getting a late game, I would love to see UCM prove me wrong.
Yeah, UCM is very, very early game oriented at the moment with the Annie, Renekton, and the Elise. There is some more scaling there that they just picked with the Misfortune. We love to see that coming out of Misfortune. In the meantime, I do want to encourage you guys to visit our social medias. Facebook being the main one that we like you guys to visit. The application to apply for UCM Esports teams is tomorrow. So get on there, fill out the application if you believe you have the chops to join the team.
Yes, we also do have our Twitter at UCM Esports. If you want notifications for when we go live, like the one you're watching now, give us a follow and you'll find out when that happens. By the way, Trey, what are you drinking there?
I am drinking Game Fuel. Shout out to Mountain Dew for providing UCM Esports with Game Fuel. And we also do have a giveaway going on at the moment. The winner will win 2 cases of Game Fuel. You can find the links to join that giveaway on our various social medias that we just generally they're UCM Esports social
I
medias.
believe specifically
name
on
for that.
Facebook, though, that's where you should be able to find it.
And we are going to be kicking this off to a short educational video here for those of you guys that are less inclined in League of Legends. Enjoy.
Hello everyone, and thank you for joining us today. My name is Mason, and I'll be going over the basics of the game before we begin. League of Legends is a MOBA, a multiplayer online battle arena. The game consists of 2 teams of 5 players. who will choose their champions to play as, each with their own special set of abilities. Each player has a specific role to fill in a certain area of the map, called lanes. Top lane usually consists of tanks and bruisers, characters that can take a lot of hits. Mid lane is usually for mages and assassins, who deal a lot of damage in a small amount of time. Bot lane has 2 players in it for each team, the AD carry and support. The ADC is someone that does a lot of damage from a long distance, and the support stays with them in order to keep them protected. Finally, the jungler has no set lane. They roam around in between the lanes in an area known as the jungle, killing monsters and jumping in to attack whatever lane needs help, an action known as ganking. The objective of the game is to push each lane forward, killing minions and destroying turrets that protect the enemy. Killing other players rewards gold, which can buy items and make your characters more powerful. The game ends when one team pushes all the way into the opponent's base, destroying this structure, called the Nexus, and winning the game.
And welcome back to UCM Esports. In the top lane, we have Mason, 8-bit Hypocrite. In the jungle, we have IP Slow. In the middle lane, we have Flygills on that Annie pick again. In the ADC position, we have Jin Caitlyn, as we saw Caitlyn and Jin get banned from him. And in the support lane, we have It's You or Me.
Still no Yumi pick.
Support lane from It's You or Me.
Yeah, I know.
Last game, we saw Brand basically a mid laner carry. Carrying, yeah, that's what we're going to call him. The second mid here out of It's You or Me. But in the meantime, we do want to talk about these team comps from UCM and Olbrien. What do you think about that?
I'm really wanting to know what's going to happen topside. Renekton, a very all-in, very all-in character. He's very early on to the later the game gets, the weaker he ends up getting. Maokai is made specifically to keep healing from the damage. You know, like
let's call him second Ornn.
Second Ornn,
No.
there. And his ultimate, very scary. Throws down 5 roots that go down, and if you get stunned in any one of the 5, you're snared for a bit of time, and it's not fun in team fights.
It is not fun at all. I do think UCM has a very early game-oriented team comp here. Renekton, Elise, Annie are very early game champions. They do generally fall off the later the game goes. So I do think UCM wants to end this game earlier rather than later, because on the side of Olbrien, they have champs such as Anivia, Maokai, who gets very, very tanky. Jarvan 4 is good all around. Ezreal can be a menace if he gets to late game with those Qs poking off.
I gotta ask,
15,
did Brand go
20%.
Dark Harvest last game too?
I do not remember, honestly.
I don't remember seeing any.
But the
souls
damage
collected,
that
but
he
I could
was
be wrong.
doing,
I mean, it's
he
very
may
possible.
have been going Dark Harvest.
Now,
So
that's personally one of my favorite runes. So you infinitely scale on attack damage as long as you're collecting the souls, and you get a soul when you damage a character after 50% health, I
yeah,
believe.
that is correct.
Yes.
50% health. If they're lower than 50% health and you damage them in any form, you do collect a soul that generally builds up damage the further or the more souls that you gather. So you can get very strong, especially in a game that goes, as we saw last time, 55 minutes. So Dark Harvest can get very, very strong on a champion like Brand.
And I wonder if he's going to get as many still, because the Nami's going to be giving out the heals for Ezreal. Hopefully, I want to see that Brand do big damage again.
I'm surprised he wasn't banned, honestly. It did seem like Olbrien had a very, very hard time containing him. Maybe that was a mistake. I guess we'll see in this game. Maybe they think that they have a way to deal with him in the form of Ezreal and the Nami. But we'll see what happens here. And we are going to be getting into the game very, very shortly here, guys. It is coming up. We're just having a little conversation here with you guys. There it is. Both teams are doing their general thing, standing at their jungle entrances, making sure there are no shenanigans going on.
Oberland does not have a Thresh or any of the likes to do somewhat of an invade. So both teams are just going to stay in the respective jungles and not go anywhere else.
Level 1 fights can get very, very tricky, especially in solo queue. It always tilts me, honestly, when my team has a level 1 fight and somebody dies pre-minions. I absolutely
I feel like you're calling me out here.
that. No, I'm not calling you out. We do solo queue, but you never die before the minions have spawned. It is a very demoralizing thing. As you can see there, Flygills was sipping his G Fuel provided by Mountain Dew for us. So that is great to see there. As we did say before the game, we do have a giveaway going on for you guys. So if you'd like to get in on that, join our social media groups to figure out how.
So
in the meantime,
we'll see Maokai and Renekton going for Farming Simulator. I don't expect too much action to really go down, to be honest, early on at least.
Yeah, probably not early on. And as you can see, Maokai and
did the most there.
Renekton getting out here having a wet noodle fight. But I like that Maokai skin there. It's called Meowkai, as he is doing big damage to Renekton. Renekton able to heal up some of that from his Q, as Maokai is able to heal up also from his passive. So both of these champs do have ways to heal, and they are getting very, very aggressive. Renekton is taking big damage from the minions there. He may want to be careful.
He does have the Rune Page Conqueror, which after you get 5 stacks, you start healing. 10 stacks, sorry.
10
you start healing for a lot more. So he's really wanting to go in there and get those stacks.
Take out long, drawn-out fights.
But Maokai is good at, not fighting. And if he does fight, he's going all in.
Just pecking away at the enemy team there. But that Meowkai skin, I really like. It's very, very, very cute skin. He's in a cat onesie. Love to see that there. As you see, Arcade Misfortune coming out from Jin Caitlyn. Another interesting skin there.
Now, Nami has always been a champion that I feel very indifferent about.
As J4 is on top, going in on the Renekton, Elise is also showing up. UCM is forced to back away there.
Going back though, Nami, don't know really how I feel about her. She has good heal and she has good poke. I just feel once late game does come, her ultimate's really her only saving grace. Maybe if she lands a bubble, but her bubble is so hard to land.
It is has a long wind-up time, and it is has a slow travel time, and you have to be fairly close to be able to get in range for the bubble. But if she does hit a big bubble, say on 2 or 3 members of the opposing team, UCM here, it can be big time.
We do have we talked about how Brand does a lot of damage. While Ash slowed him from last game, Misfortune is also going to be doing very heavy big damage.
And J4 is chasing the Annie down here. He may catch her, but Elise comes in, hits a snare onto the Anivia. Anivia is forced into egg mode, and he's deciding not to kill the Anivia. J4 goes back in onto the Annie. Anivia is back. J4 is ignited and is going to go down first blood to the Annie. Annie goes down to the ignite of the Anivia, as Elise is still chasing the Anivia and is able to secure that kill in the middle lane.
Now,
and there's a big fight going on. Ezreal is here. Brand does miss the Pillar of Flame on the Ezreal. Ezreal backs off. Misfortune is very low also.
So we finally got to see the first instance of Anivia's passive. Whenever she has this weird little thing above her level box, I don't know, what it's showing. Oh, okay.
As the Maokai goes down to the Renekton under his tower, Renekton is a very early game champ and does massive damage there. I'd be anxious to see what happened there. But, Josh, back to the Anivia passive.
So yes, Anivia, whenever she has the thing above her level, whenever she loses all of her health, she goes into an egg.
And she
slowly starts falling down.
Eggnivia.
Yes. If the enemy team cannot burst her egg health down, then she gets respawned. It's like a resurrection. Yes.
Phoenix from the Flames with, like, I believe 75% HP and
ridiculous.
75% mana. So
and Annie probably knew that she could not finish the Anivia. So she had to save her stun ability for the Jarvan, who is most likely going to come in on her.
Yeah. And while that passive may seem very, very strong, it does have quite the cooldown there, so Anivia will not be able to go back into Eggnivia for quite some time. So like it does have its drawbacks. Yeah, it does have its drawbacks, but it's also very, very powerful if you cannot focus down the Eggnivia while she's in that form.
But we did talk about UCM having the early game, and it's already become apparent because they have 3 to 1.
Yep, 3 to 1, and they have a gold lead there.
That's going to be 1 to each the mid laner, the jungler, and the top laner. So it's not like somebody's getting fed early on, which is great because you really want that gold distribution. Yes.
Renekton going back in on the Maokai here, and Renekton is getting pretty strong. Maokai at this point doesn't have the damage to compete with the Renekton. But Renekton is going, it looks like he has the, I forget the name of the little orange ball of flames there, but that item does provide him with HP and cooldown reduction. So it looks like he's not building straight into damage, but rather taking a tank approach here, because they do need a tank.
So the first Drake up today, or for this match, will be the Water Drake. Saw great things from last match. So Elise is getting wards deep to the enemy jungle right now, and is looking to take it very early. They want that early Drake lead. The Dragon Soul is probably what saved them from last game, so they want to get it again.
Is making her way to the red buff. She does know they're here. J4 is also here. This is a big fight. J4 walks into an anti-stun and snare. J4 is able to flag and drag his way out. Will he make it away? Misfortune is very, very quick. Auto attack, and he is dead. There goes the dabbing penguin from there. And Anivia is stunned by the Elise there, but is able to walk away.
That was a flash on the Misfortune, but a flash will played. To get the kill on the Jarvan, they now have Drake control. Ezreal and Nami are still bot side, but they are 3-2. Yeah. They also don't have smite up for this fight unless Jarvan can get back fast enough.
And it does look like
they're actually not going to take the Drake.
They are not. They just clear out the wards there. But it does look like UCM enacts a little bit of revenge there with the emote coming out from the Misfortune. Dabbing Penguin versus the Pingu that was coming out from Lux. J4 is here on the Misfortune. Misfortune face checks the brush. There is a pink ward there. Ezreal goes over the wall, misses his Q, not able to finish that off. And here comes a teleport in from the Renekton. Renekton is ulting, goes in, forcing the flash out from the ADC. And there is a dead Nami after being snared by the Elise.
So I expect them to take this Drake now. Renekton use this teleport to get down here. They are going to take it, or, you know, they got a kill and maybe a flash, but Maokai's just up top. Gonna take some turret plating.
Renekton did have teleport priority as Maokai did use his teleport to get back to lane, so there was no possible way that he could get down there for that team fight. So that is a great play coming out of 8-Bit Hypocrite on the Renekton.
And with that, Misfortune grabbed another kill. She is now 2-0.
She did.
And we might see a Fed ADC again.
We just may see a Fed ADC. She has not picked up her boots yet. I would love to see that out of Misfortune, but she doesn't really need them, as her passive does give her increased movement speed if she's not fighting an enemy champion. But she wants to go for, as Brand does hit a big pillar of flame onto the Nami. Nami is ignited and has to walk away. What a waste of an ignite there from the Brand.
I mean, both didn't have mana, so the ignite just might have been an escape tool. As Brand tries to hold the wave, as Elise comes down.
Is coming in behind the team, forcing Nami to flash. She does hit the big spider onto the Ezreal. Ezreal is going to be able to Essence Flux away. That is a failed gank coming out from the Elise, and Ezreal is going in on the Brand. Brand is very, very low. Forced to flash. The Q does hit, but not enough damage to finish him off. That was a...
Didn't quite know where he was.
Very, very close.
Yes.
Renekton and Maokai are still up here having this tank fight between those two. I'm still surprised that Renekton was able to get a kill on the Maokai, especially so close to Maokai's tower.
Yeah. We are going to see the Maokai go early tabby boots.
Yeah.
Renekton is almost all 80 damage.
He is all 80 damage, except for, I believe, his ultimate.
Ult is AP.
Okay.
It's very scary if you see an AP Renekton, but...
I've never seen an AP. I've seen AP Nasus.
He has to get really fed to do it.
I've seen AP Nasus, but I've never seen an AP Renekton. But nonetheless, he is going AD, is going tank, and does have a kill up on the Maokai as Anivia is coming in for the gank. And there is the Maokai root. Slowly but surely they get to him. There is the Anivia wall. Anivia does not have the damage as she is very, very late with her Q. And here comes the Elise for the counter gank. Renekton goes in, gets knocked back by the Maokai, is snared, is stunned by both of UCM's team members, and they are on the run. And here comes the Anivia wall, splitting that team there from the fight.
Well, that wall was fine. I think the first wall was a bit early.
Yeah.
She did not have her stun up, and usually you block the escape route and then
forcing them to
go a certain way, and that's when you stun them. But I don't know if it just wasn't up. I don't know. She just mistimed that.
And UCM is going to collect the Rift Herald there. This is a very, very easy Rift Herald to grab here because J4 is on his Raptor. So there is no threat here. They get a free Rift Herald. Great play there from UCM.
Malachi's coming down, seeing what's going on though.
He's very, very tanky. If he's able to steal this,
Elysian,
who we will be able to see who picked that up, and UCM was able to grab that Rift Herald there. That was very, very close. I don't think Elise had her smite up either after that top game.
I think she might have used it during the fight. While that was happening, though, and they did get the Rift Herald, and they killed Malachi, Misfortune and Brand did go down by the J4 and Ezreal down bot side.
And he's still here in the mid lane, farming away, doing her little thing. 1-1-3 this match. I do believe last match he had no kills. Early, at least. I know she was at 1.04 and 8. So she does have more kills at this point than she did last match. So she's doing pretty well.
And because even though I feel like Annie and Anivia have been both going out of their mid lane to go see what's going on upriver and in our lane, Annie's 20 CS are about 12 CS above the Anivia still. So that's great to see. As she's bot side now.
And they do know she's there. She walked right through a wave of minions. I'm guessing they just want to.
Maybe they're trying to invade the Anivia? Anivia's coming down the river. And Elise is in the jungle.
Elise is on the Anivia at the moment. Elise does know Anivia is there. Anivia is snared. Does flash away. Anivia walks away scot-free there. Elise was on the Anivia.
Oh, as the emote coming out from the Misfortune.
A little bit of payback coming out from UCM on the emotes there. As Nami hits a big O on those two, but has nobody to follow up. That was a nice bubble.
We do have Drake coming up in 12 seconds.
And there is the return out of UCM. That may just give them Drake priority as Annie is hit by a bubble, but no follow-up again. Never mind. J4 comes in from the back, flags and drags. Annie is going to go down to that ignite, but not before she throws down Tibbers. She was healing up very, very well. There may have been one tick left on that, and she did go down. Jin Caitlyn is forced to run away, dodges the Nami bubble, turns around on the Nami because she is left alone and almost kills her.
Yeah, sadly, Marekta and Malachi still up top, doing their own thing. As everybody else just decided to go bot side. Drake was up, but maybe, I don't know if they're just trying to get turret plating for the bot side. I don't know if they're trying to make a distraction to maybe start Drake. Either way, not a lot got accomplished on the side of UCM.
Not a lot got accomplished. They did get a few plates there with the Rift Herald that they did activate.
But they did have to split that up between like 3 people. Yeah. So
gold is gold here as Elise is on the J4 and does disgusting damage. J4 forced to flag and drag away, but dies to the Brand
and
passive.
He flashed for it too. He thought he was safe, didn't know that.
Feels bad, man. Nothing worse than flashing away and still dying.
You know what's really sad? J4 tried getting away, but the dragon got procced and pushed him to the side, so he had more time to get hit by
and he did also smite the dragon. For those of you that don't know, when you're jungle and you smite the dragon, you do gain, or smite any monster in the jungle, you do gain HP off of that. So he did try to live there, but died.
Nobody else was with him.
After the Brand passive does proc at the end there, forcing his flash too, which hate to see it. That is one of the worst ways to die.
As you see, out of this top fight, everybody's losing health, and then they suddenly gain it back. Very riveting
gameplay. Like magic.
Coming out. Malachi is just one of those champions that you will never really see die. Unless you have multiple people going up on him, and even then, there's a good chance he'll still get away.
And as you say that, he has two deaths there, but as the more tanky he gets, the less inclined he is to die, and I don't expect him to die too many more times, unless he makes mistakes, of course. But at least is collecting her red buff. Let's see what she does with that. She is very, very strong at the moment, too, at 2-0-4. At that fight at Dragon, we did see her burst J4 down to about 25% HP.
She does a lot of burst.
Yeah, before J4
she is doing
anything.
Electrocute, which if you land 3 basic attacks or spells, it does extra.
Is going in on the Malachi. Malachi is forced to use his ult. snares the Elise, flashes away, and Elise is double snared. But he is able to make it away. He spends a lot to get away, but he does not die, and that's all that matters.
I will say that was a pretty nice move. Alt, get the stun off, do his little underground dash thing to Elise, and immediately flash out.
Yeah.
Very small time to react on the side of UCM, and that's why he was able to get out of there so fast. As Bran comes in.
catches the J4 out, doing about 50% of his HP,
Got the
and
Dark
as you can
Harvest
see,
proc.
the Dark Harvest proc does go over to the Bran. I would love to know how many stacks he has. As Elise does find the J4, misses the snare, does get the bite off. The red buff does finish off the J4. J4 is getting out jungled thoroughly by this Elise.
It's going to be very hard for him to do anything. He is not only with 4 deaths, but he's also roughly 40 CS off of the Elise counterpart. And Elise is taking his current jungle as it is, so that's going to be even less CS for J4 to go for.
Elise is doing very, very well. She is out jungling her counterpart by quite a bit, but there's not really much that the J4 can do about it. If Elise does find him, she does burst him down very, very quickly. So it's unfortunate to see for the J4, but that is League for you.
I mean, that's just the deal. Elise is made to burst. J4 is made to engage.
Yep.
So that's just what happens whenever your jungler knows the path.
Misfortune is down in the bottom, getting a kill on to the Nami there. I did hear her ult go off there. I'm sure Nami took quite a bit of damage from that. As J4 goes in onto the Misfortune, flag and drag into his ultimate. Is he going to be able to finish off the Misfortune? No. Brandon,
and that's what I was just talking about.
Damage.
He doesn't do burst damage. He engages. He got in, got the knockup, and enclosed her in a space with his ultimate, but would not do anything else without help.
Now, we'll say bad communication there from Olbrien, as Anivia and Ezreal were very, very close. They did not engage with their J4, or rather J4 did not engage with his team around. Either way, there needs to be better communication between those three,
As UCM,
because that could have resulted in a kill.
now
But
UCM is in a 5k gold lead with a second rift.
with a
That
second,
is not good to see on the side of the enemy's Oberlin. There you go.
Oberlin, there you
There.
go.
Thank you.
From Oberlin.
As we will see Misfortune and Brand start moving to mid lane. The laning phase, which is roughly from 10 to 15 minutes, somewhere in there, or whenever first tower goes down, you kind of start going towards the mid lane. That's the fastest path to the enemy's base, and it's just great to get pressure there over top and bot, as the Rift Herald will be getting released and is going to most likely do massive damage on this second tier turret.
Yeah, it'll take out about a little over 50% of the surge
Elise coming
HP.
in.
As Elise goes in onto the Nami, and that is a dead Nami. She is bursted instantly, and the Rift Herald gets off damage onto the tower. And that tower is most likely going to go down if UCM decides to finish it off, and they don't. That is about 2 more hits.
Yeah, 2 more. I mean, it's not really a tower at this point, to be honest, unless somebody gets stunned underneath it. So Anivia, luckily Anivia is great for, area of effect spells, wave clear. With her ultimate comes up like every couple of seconds. It's one of the few ultimates that doesn't have a long cooldown because it doesn't do a massive number of things.
And UCM is able to secure their 3rd Drake, that one being the Infernal Drake. The next one will also, well, actually any dragon from here on out until one team collects a soul will be Infernal Dragons. But UCM is doing very well for their with their objective control there, as they do have 3 dragons and are looking at the 4th one being the Infernal Soul.
This is what you want to see from UCM. Picking an early team, and picking teams that have high burst damage, you want Infernal. It does an explosive amount of extra damage to your attacks, which is going to be great for that Elise and the Misfortune. As UCM has only lost their bot side turret, while Oberlin has lost.
Elise does hit a snare, but she's also hit by a Nami bubble. Here comes a Nami, hits the Brand, no follow-up, and Nivea does hit her Q onto the Brand, no follow-up again. Jen Caitlyn is getting very, very aggressive there on the front line. Is not able to get to the Anivia to do any damage, but he is able to walk away, and Brand does miss his Q and his Pillar of Rain on the Nami. If that Q would have hit, that would have been a dead fish.
That was gosh, she
Charboiled.
half her health to almost 0 HP in a matter of a second.
It looks like Brandon does love a nice salmon.
Okay. We do see a teleport coming out of the Renekton.
Renekton is on to this Maokai, but Maokai is extremely tanky. He's tanking Renekton and the tower. He may be able to make it away. He knocks back and slows the Renekton. Renekton goes in with the flash, stunning the Maokai, and there goes the patented Maokai ultimate into snare. He does not have flash this time, but is able to make it back to his tower.
Oh, you know, that was a lot coming out of Maokai just to get away from the situation.
And still has about 25% HP.
And it's just going to keep increasing. So, you know, it's almost like that fight never happened in like a couple seconds. But you do see Misfortune and Brand start
making their way up because J4 is on to the Renekton. The J4 ultimate with the Nivea ultimate is very, very potent. There's no way to escape it without dashes, and down goes the Renekton.
You know what, though? Even though they did get the kill on the Renekton, they now know 4 people are at least top lane. So Annie's just going to keep pushing that bot side. And might even start to get into their base if she's able to take it fast enough. Ezreal is going to keep pushing in the mid lane.
Nibia is recalling to probably most likely head to that bottom lane to stop the Annie from pushing down that tier 2. While these two are going to stay in the top there, pushing this away. I'm not sure they're going to be able to get it with 3 members of Olbrien being here, but it's worth a try. Why not?
We do have the damage dealers, though. So as long as that Maokai doesn't...
As Elise gets in the back lane, hits the Nami with a snare, and instantly bursts her down. I didn't even see it. I didn't even see
it. Just I heard it, and I just knew. Oh, that's
Maokai is on to the Elise. Elise gets hit by an Ezreal ult and a Maokai ult simultaneously, and that is a squashed spider.
I honestly think Misfortune should have died there too.
And down goes Ezreal to
but
the
that J4
Misfortune.
Kept on moving back and forth. He was like, do I go in? Do I go out?
Yeah.
He wasn't really decisive in his attack. He either should have backed away or tried to finish her off before the stun on her was released. So Misfortune was able to get 2 kills out of that instead of maybe none or possibly a death on her side.
And UCM is able to take that top tower here. It is now 4 towers to 2 in the favor of UCM.
Brand and Misfortune are going to start heading back. We do have the Drake coming up in about a minute. So we will... Renekton is already trying to get some vision, or just trying to see what's going on in the bot side jungle. Annie is going to keep pushing up that wave so they can get that Drake. Renekton will make sure that the mid lane is being pushed up. Nami and Anivia's there, but not really much they can do against Renekton right now.
Yeah, the game's kind of stagnating now. Both teams are clearing their jungles, trying to collect some gold here. The Drake is up in about 35 seconds, so we will most likely see a fight at that point. UCM is looking to catch out any enemy at the moment, and that is going to be a dead Anivia. I'm not sure why she was walking around that way. She could have walked around the other way, but nonetheless, that is a dead Anivia.
Yeah, even though she probably felt a bit safe because she had her egg, but it doesn't matter whenever you have a full team attacking you. The egg means nothing. So that's just going to be her passive kind of wasted for that, as UCM are looking for that Dragon Soul. J4, the enemy jungler, is down there and he knows what's going on. But unless he steals it, there's not much he's going to be able to do here.
I don't think they're going to be able to steal it. Maokai was top. It was a 5v3 situation.
I haven't seen this Maokai go anywhere.
Yeah, he's been just
top.
chugging along on top lane here. But he will be very powerful in team fights.
Yes, he will be. Maybe if you were in some of the team fights, like the 3v3s, you know, a lot more would have happened.
Ooh.
But I guess they're just waiting on the split push right now.
And I will say this Ezreal is going the Trinity Force build, which we don't see too often anymore. Generally, Ezreals are going the Gauntlet build because he gets so much utility with the slow on the hit. As J4 does go in, hits a big ult onto Misfortune. Misfortune able to flash away and is pecking off on the Maokai. Maokai is just so tanky. Goes down to the Misfortune ult. There's Anivia taking big hits from the Tibbers, and UCM is able to win that fight. One kill to two, actually. Yeah, so they lose one member.
Jarvan looked like he was golden forever. I was just like, just one more hit, you know, from somebody and he'll be there. He just kept on staying. We're able to get, you know, tiny bit of damage on that mid base turret. But
Ezreal is able to burst down that Misfortune.
yes.
I mean, interested to see why she was still there.
Misfortune does a lot of burst damage, but Ezreal does a lot of he does a lot of burst, and then he is able to keep on engaging. He's got like a little teleport ability that allows him to either escape or go into fights a lot easier. And whenever he lands his Q, his little bolt, he gets it up faster. It's like the cooldown goes to like a second and a half or something like that. So he can just keep firing them off like they were nothing.
Especially if they're hitting. And his E, I would like to say, also does have a homing beacon attached to it. So if he does use his E into an opponent, it does have a homing beacon that does quite a bit of damage, especially if he has his W already on him.
Yes.
So Ezreal is a very, very bursty ADC there. As you can see, Misfortune went down.
UCM does not want this J4 to have any CS as they clear the top side jungle again. He is now down about 70 CS, which is huge for jungler, as you know his deaths keep racking up while Lisa's kills and CS keep going up.
Maokai is in a sticky situation there, is stunned. Brand does miss his Q. That may have been a dead Maokai if Brand could have gotten off the second stun mid-flash, as Nami just gets deleted from League of Legends by Elysian and Misfortune. UCM is going to chase down this Maokai. Maokai is trying to be a hero, tanking for his team. J4 gets off a big ult in the middle of UCM's team, but there is no follow-up.
Yeah, too many people are down. The Nivea was probably the only one you could do that big of group damage unless an Ezreal ult came out, but Ezreal's ult, it wasn't up, I don't believe. So they're going to be looking for Baron. Only 2 people are up on the side of Oberlin, and their jungler's down. And that's going to just be a fast one for UCM.
They cleared that very, very quickly.
Yes.
And down goes Baron. UCM is doing very well this match. They are up by around 8k there.
Yes.
And that should go up with this Baron here if they use it well. So they are doing this. This game is very, very fast-paced, especially compared to the previous
last one. Yeah. But yeah, now they have Baron buff and they have Dragon Soul, so their burst potential is just going to be great. Their pushing potential is just going to be great. It looks like each member is going to be going in their separate lanes. Oh, never mind. Fran and Misfortune are going up.
I mean,
Renekton's going to be pushing up the top lane with his Baron buff, while it looks like they might have 4 people stacked mid, push that further.
I will say, while Oberlin's team fight is very, very strong, UCM's is also very strong. Renekton combined with Annie ult, Misfortune ult, and Brand ult, all of which do AoE damage, is just quite a bit of damage there. As Misfortune is hit by Annie, is hit by many ultimates. She does go golden mid Ezreal and is able to dodge that. Jarvan 4 flag and drags through them. And as I was talking about the team fights, Oberlin is able to do a lot of damage with that Renekton being in top lane there. Ezreal is able to secure a double kill, killing that Annie with the Q. Big damage coming in from the Misfortune Q. Also, Ezreal is so very, very low. One hit and he will go down, but he's able to escape.
So I think that might just be the first base turret.
That might be. That fight was looking very, very good for Oberlin until the Renekton decided he was ready to get into the fight.
Yeah, you do not want to mess with Renekton when he's ulting. It's just, not only does he grow in size, he also has an aura around him, just like Nasus. You know, just allows him to do
AoE damage.
So much.
Yeah. There is a lot of AoE damage coming out from the side of UCM. 4 of their 5 ultimates do AoE damage, so team fights are very, very potent for the side of UCM.
Yeah, Misfortune is almost at 100% crit rate, and she did build Grievous, or Executioner's Calling, sorry. Yep. So that Maokai's health regeneration will be reduced significantly.
Cut in half. Actually, I believe it's like 15%, so excuse me for saying cut in half, but 15% of the healing is off of that Maokai. UCM is just clearing out some wards here.
We do. Elder Drake should be coming up in about 15 seconds, actually, so that's why all this action is going on in the bot side jungle. If UCM can secure this Elder Drake, I think that might be game.
That might be game. And did we talk about the fact that UCM has the Infernal Dragon Soul?
Yes, I was He's talking about how
Renekton goes in on the team fight, gets off a big Q. There goes the Misfortune ult, and down goes the J4, being in the middle of the fight. And that is a very tanky Maokai, but not tanky enough to tank 5 members of the opposing team.
And J4 is gone, Maokai's gone, Ezreal's gone. They're just going to take Elder Drake. I don't think Anivia or Nami could even contest this.
There is no way to stop that.
Yes. So now, with Baron buff, just went away. They do have Elder Drake, so they might just go for a 5-man push mid and try to end it.
They are.
As Jarvan and Israel will be coming up in about 5 seconds to help Anivia and Nami, but before they're even up, they just won't be able to stop 5 people. Anivia does have, area of effect spells, but just not enough burst damage.
That is true. UCM is pushing very, very hard into the... Oh my gosh, as the Elise Spider comes in and 50%... 50% is one of the Ezreal there. That was a lot of damage coming out. 25% more damage than Ezreal would have.
I don't think anybody has the same amount of damage that UCM's putting out right now.
Oh my gosh, this is getting absolutely disgusting. But down goes the Elise after being hit by a mean Anivia E, and down goes the Misfortune after being in the middle of the team fight, and there goes the double kill from the brand. Dragon Breath coming out everywhere from UCM, and that should be the game.
We talked about how Brand does a lot of damage to everybody, and with the Elder Drake, he just threw an ability. Everybody's doing damage. Nobody's even attacking him at this point, and they're just dying.
There goes the celebratory Tibbers. Down goes Oberlin. UCM is able to take the series 2-0, and that will be the end of that match. In the meantime, we are going to shoot it to break. We will have Overwatch Esports coming up very, very soon. Stay tuned with us, and we'll love to see you there.
See you next time.